What is up, my unapologetic crew? I am back. This is your girl Angelica, and I am doing a reading for April 30th, 2026. It will be Thursday. I'm feeling a little, whimsical tonight, so I think I'm going to switch up my deck today. Tomorrow, I believe, is going to be the opening for the full moon for this month. So I'm actually going to use two entirely different decks tomorrow just to bring in that full moon kind of energy. But tonight I'm just going to use my new deck. So I'm going to actually take this one, set this off to the side, unless I need a little bit more clarification, just in case something pops off that's a little weird. With that being said, I am about to ring this bell just to cleanse the energy. I forgot to do it before I started the video. So if you do have it up a little loud, just turn it down real quick so I can just cleanse the energy. And here I go. Okay, I just wanted to go ahead and do that. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a good night. I just got off work and I'm a little jazzed up. I got some food off to the side that I do need to have for myself, so I'm going to get into that after this reading. All right, let's start it off with the prayer. Heavenly Divine, 3 in 1, the Father, the Mother, the Son. Thank you for residing in my temple. I'm praying for advice and guidance for my highest good and the highest good of the collective that is watching right now. I rebuke and return any negative energies or entities with the intent to interfere or intercede in this reading. I'm asking for advice and guidance, utilizing their spiritual teams, which will be their ancestral spirits, specifically the ancestors of time, in addition to their guardians assigned to guard and guide them from the time of their birth to the time of their death, and the highest versions of themselves on the spiritual plane. In Jesus' name I pray, through the Son of God. Amen. All right. So when we left off earlier this week, when I did the spread a couple days ago, the card that was the situation of the day for tomorrow, technically today, Thursday, was the 3 of Swords in reverse, which, like I said in that reading, is usually like a breakup card. It's usually talking about a lot of heartbreak. But in reverse, it speaks more to recovery, moving on, healing, forgiveness, and that the worst is over. So we're gonna see what energy brought that into play, or what's behind the situation, as well as any advice or further, guidance that the divine team wants to send our way. So let me just ask now, what was behind the 3 of Swords in reverse? What was behind the 3 of Swords in reverse? Uh-oh. That's too many, Spirit. Can you narrow it down? Can you narrow it down, please? That was about it seems like it's a whole situation. Can we narrow it down to at least one card? What was behind the 3 of Swords in reverse? Oh. Thank you, Spirit. Was there anything else you wanted to tell me about that 3 of Swords in reverse? As long as it's not a bunch of cards, maybe one more card. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. And what can you give us as far as advice about the 3 of Swords in reverse going forward into Thursday, April 30th? Thank you, Spirit. Okay. So the first bit that showed up about the 3 of Swords in reverse, or what was behind it, was first this and then this. So you got the Knight of Cups and the 7 of Wands. Cups are emotional tend to be emotional cards dealing with relationships, familial, platonic, or romantic. Your wands tend to deal with more like, I believe, like not conflict. You tend to deal with more like work, if I'm not mistaken. Work, career, things that you're passionate about. And then you have a major arcana card as far as your advice goes in the reverse. So we will take a look at that. So let's see here. So when I'm looking at the Knight of Cups, you have this knight who's on a horse that appears to have one of their hooves up in kind of like anticipation. I'm also noticing this back foot is also up. So it's like maybe it's anticipation, but also it could be like anxiousness to like move forward. I'm also seeing there's a stream in front of them, so it does look like there's some type of emotions coming out of the situation across the stream. It looks like the elevation continues to increase into almost like a mountainous area. So it looks like this, but the look on this knight's face looks very determined. He looks determined with the wings carrying him forward. Like it doesn't really matter to him that there is going to be a challenge of going up this mountain. He looks very prepared. His horse looks very prepared. There's also wings on his feet. So it's like I'm getting like a lot of flight. Like this person or this energy is prepared to take on whatever it was coming out of or in this situation for the Three of Swords reverse. And it looks like, it almost looks like with these two side by side, it looks like he's on his way to go up this mountain to help out this particular person who looks like, in the Seven of Wands, it looks like this person's like on the edge of a cliff, like battling off 6 other wands. So it kind of ties right into it. It's like this person is riding in to get up on this cliff to help out this person, to assist this person. And that is what ended up pushing into the Three of Swords in reverse. So let's take a look at what the Big Book of Tarot meanings has for the Knight of Cups. Okay, and also another thing that I noticed on here was that it had red fish. Red is typically the color of passion, and fish tend to tie into Pisces, which is a water element, which also tend to tie into emotions as well. And as you can see, there's a lot of blue going on here on the horse as well on their trim. So it's definitely given like a lot of water, a lot of emotional vibes. So this person is not afraid to ride in to deal with their emotional issues. I don't see any hesitation on their part. So upright, it says romance, knight in shining armor, creativity, love messages, taking action, sensitive, idealistic, and leading with your heart, travel. It says you are a creative and imaginative spirit. Right now is the time to tap into those gifts. Allow yourself to get lost in the creative process and see where it takes you. If there's a big decision weighing on you, the Knight of Cups asks you to lead with your heart. We're going to move right into the Seven of Wands. The individual who's on the cliff looks like they're battling off 7 other people. Challenges, defending yourself, challenging the status quo, opposition, perseverance, competition, fighting for or defending what you believe in, boundaries. And then again, we're reading from the higher guidance portion of it. It says your guides remind you to stand tall and firm in your beliefs. Things may be tough, but you will overcome these challenges. Lean into your spirituality when you need extra strength. So it looks like by leaning into your creativity and your imaginative spirit, you were able to stand tall and stand firm in your beliefs, and that may have either gotten you out of a heartbreak situation, or you may have dodged the bullet of a potential heartbreak situation without realizing it. Let's see here. Pulling up the Three of Swords now. Yeah, see, so upright, it's definitely a very depressing and heartbreaking type visual. Like, you have three swords going into a heart with like rain. Like, you can't get more heartbreak than that. Actually, I think this might be the most I guess, despair filled type card in the tarot deck when it comes to like relationships, sorrow, pain, heartbreak, trauma, betrayal, loss. So upright, you have forgiveness, optimism, releasing pain, healing, recovering from heartbreak, and holding on to sadness, negative self-talk. So one of the ways that someone once described it, and I really loved it, is by looking at it actually in the reverse. It's almost as if these swords are falling out of that heart and allowing that heart to heal. And I thought that was a really good visual depiction that they put out there. So looking at the higher guidance for the Three of Swords in reverse, says you're recovering from heartbreak or a period of loss. Hooray for seeing the sunshine after the rain. Forgiveness is key to moving forward. Whether it is forgiving yourself or someone else, you must forgive and heal the wound to truly move forward. Now, I know this sounds very relationship-y, and it very well could be, but my readings are for higher guidance. They're not for a specific aspect. So this could be a heartbreak regarding a relationship. It could be a heartbreak regarding a friendship. It could be a heartbreak regarding like a job or a career that you were really passionate about that you may have had to walk away from recently, leaning into your creativity and leaning into those boundaries that you have, that respect that you have for yourself. So it could be any number of those things. It could even be spirituality. Some people have to walk away from the religious roots that they were brought up in because they're deconstructing things that may not sit right with them. So it could be a very big number of things, and that is, so those two things are this situation is what leads to you to going into this period of recovery and moving on. And then advice is the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Now, the Wheel of Fortune is one of those cards that is chock full of symbolism. And because it's so chock full of symbolism, I want to actually read it from the book because I don't want to miss anything. But there are several items to pay attention to for the Wheel of Fortune. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. And it's a little bit bigger than the card that I have. So that's great. You get to see it a little bit closer. Okay. It says at the center of the card is the wheel that holds the words T-A-R-O. Tarot. If you keep spinning the wheel, you'll see Rota, R-O-T-A, and then if you spin it one more time in the opposite direction, you'll see T-O-R-A, which is the Torah. Referring to the first part of the Hebrew Bible, all depending on which way you read it. The wheel itself is orange and energetic and resembles the sun, which gives life. Within the wheel are the symbols representing the four elements, so the four elements are here, as well as the Hebrew symbols here, 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 and here, that essentially spell out Yahweh, meaning God. In the corners are the four figures representing the four fixed signs of the zodiac, each holding the Torah representing wisdom. Around the wheel float the snake, the Greek god of chaos, and Anubis, the god of the underworld, symbols of death and rebirth. Atop the wheel sits a sphinx representing knowledge, holding a sharp sword of judgment. A part of the wheel They are forever rotating, suggesting that everything is cyclical. So this is like a card of cycles. And we have this flipped over. We have it in reverse. So it says bad luck, lack of control, unwelcome changes or resistance to change, delays, setback, chaos, repeating mistakes, breaking cycles, and disruption. So it looks like there's a potential risk of whoever this person was dealing with this and going through recovery. There is a risk that you could potentially end up repeating this cycle if you're not careful. I don't know if this is a relationship or if this is a job, but there's somewhere with the way that this is ending, it does not seem like it's a permanent end, and you do run the risk of repeating that cycle. Now, I usually tend to end it on this, but I don't want to end it so quickly because I don't like the risk of repeating this cycle. So I'm going to ask two questions. One, if this person or these people do not wish to continue this cycle, that they run the risk of continuing, what is it that they need to do? What do they need to do to avoid, oh my goodness. There's a couple things. Okay, but the main thing that popped up was the Two of Wands. So there's definitely a decision that you're going to have to make regarding the Hangman. So there's a decision that you have to make regarding the but you're hesitant to do so. There's a decision that you're going to have to make, which definitely, I think whichever way you go, it's either going to keep you in this cycle or you're going to break out of this cycle, but you're hesitant on it. So let's see what's going on here. You got the World in reverse and the Six of Cups. So with the World in reverse, that's incompletion, lack of closure. And the Six of Cups is usually a card of nostalgia. So it looks like you run the risk of repeating this cycle because you can't make a decision to move past it, and it's putting you in this Hangman energy, and because you most likely feel a lack of closure or completeness or emptiness, something that you're missing from seeking like some kind of fulfillment, something about this cycle does not feel finished to you. And I think part of it is because of nostalgia, because you might have history either with this person, this situation, this job. Something about it is what is holding you back, and that's why you run the risk of going back into this cycle. Let's see. What else can you tell me about this situation? Thank you, Spirit. Seven of Swords in reverse. Being caught, coming clean, rethinking, punishment, or deception. So the biggest part that I'm getting out of this, especially with this nostalgia card, it's almost like you're looking back on the good times and it's making you rethink or reconsider closing out this cycle. And I don't know if you're rethinking about this cycle because of all the good things that happened in this situation, or if you feel like you deserve this chaotic cycle as some sort of punishment. But for whatever reason, it looks like you're very hesitant to close this door. I even got caught up a little bit just now in my throat. It's like maybe you feel like you haven't said everything you need to say about the situation. It's like you haven't said everything you needed to say about the situation. You have a lot on your mind, so you can't get all the words out, and it's blocking like your throat chakra. But something about this feels incomplete for you. I'm going to do the angel numbers deck to see if we can get some kind of advice or guidance on handling this situation. Because if you don't, it seems like if you don't put this situation behind you, you're just going to repeat this pattern. And I don't know if it's going to be an immediate repeat of this pattern or if it's going to take time before this cycle starts back over. And I don't know if it looks like it's with the Knight of Cups in here. It's definitely an emotional situation, and it feels pretty heavy. Ooh, especially when yesterday there was the Hermit in reverse because of that energy. Now that I'm thinking about it, that queen pushing you into the Hermit, I wonder if it had something to do with this. Because yesterday felt very heavy, and then today I'm seeing this, and I'm like, if yesterday's energy has anything to do with today's situation, I personally think it's the cycle that you should close out, but I don't want to speak for the spiritual team. I'm going to let them speak for you. Oh, so one of them that fell was 1717. And I guess they have spoken. It says, let go of the past. Release, forgiveness, healing, growth, new beginnings, moving forward, renewal. It's time to release the weight of the past and embrace the new opportunities ahead. Trust your instincts, especially if you feel called to lead others, as the universe is guiding and supporting you in this journey. What part of my past am I holding on to, and how can I release it to move forward freely? Take time to write a letter to your past self, acknowledging the lessons learned, and then symbolically let it go, whether by burning it or tearing it up. All right, y'all. That was a bit more of a doozy than I expected. I thought it was just going to be, pretty lighthearted, especially with the Three of Swords in reverse. But it sounds like somebody out there is still holding on to the past. So again, just a final wrap up. We got the Knight of Cups, having your creativity and your imagination. There we go. The Knight of Cups, your creativity and your imagination is supposed to ride in to help you deal with conflict, which is meant to pull you out or meant to have you in that Three of Swords in reverse energy. And moving on, healing and recovery. But for some reason, this cycle has not yet closed out. And I don't know why I said for some reason. We just found out why. We found out why because you are still you still have to make a decision on whether or not you want to close this cycle out. You're in that Hangman energy. You've been holding off on shutting that door in its finality because you don't have closure. You're missing that lack of closure, and you're looking back on the past in nostalgia and thinking of the way that things used to be. But the way that the reality is that you're rethinking it, and I don't know if you're rethinking it because you're punishing yourself or you're rethinking it because the things in the past look so great that you're just like, oh, well, maybe I'm making the wrong move about this decision, either about a job, a person, could be any type of relationship. But whatever this is, you're looking back on it thinking that maybe you might be making a final mistake. Your spiritual team said, no, let go of the past. The past is the past for a reason. And you have better things coming for you in the future. So I hope that helped. I hope that helped some of you out there. I wish you luck with this situation. I don't know what this is, but I do I do think you should definitely ask yourself, what part of the past are you holding on to, and how can you release it and move forward freely? I will be doing a full moon read tomorrow, which actually talks about release and letting things go as you go into the next lunar cycle. So if you are still feeling a little lost on this decision, tune back in tomorrow and see if this gives you any further clarity on the decision you need to make. But I think you already know. 1717, I think you already know what you got to do. That being said, you guys stay unapologetically you, and I will stay unapologetically me. Bye.